YouTube, unfortunately, is at it again. So here's the new thing that they're trying. This is from their blog. Expanding fact checks on YouTube to the United States. Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. Over the past several years, we've seen more and more people coming to YouTube for news and information. They want to get the latest on an election, to find multiple perspectives on a topic, or to learn about a major breaking news event. More recently, the outbreak of COVID-19 and its spread around the world has reaffirmed how important it is for viewers to get accurate information during fast-moving events. That's why we're continuing to improve the news experience on YouTube, including raising up authoritative sources of information across the site. Today, we're continuing this work by expanding our fact-check information panels, which we launched in Brazil and India last year, to the United States. Okay, so they go on to talk more about it, and there's something you've probably noticed, I certainly have, that over the past 4 months, 5 months, something like that, YouTube has had, on certain topics, definitely on coronavirus, COVID-19, they have, like, I think it's above the title, but it might be just below the title, but I think it's above, where if you have COVID-19 in the title, they'll literally put a link directly to, I think, the CDC website, where the CDC website gives information on it. Now, is that something that I think is unforgivable? No, I actually don't think it's unforgivable to, maybe there is definitely a debate to be had about what source is most reliable to put a link to. Because, who's really perfectly objective? Maybe that doesn't even exist, because even the outlets that pride themselves on, like, where the fact check is, yes, a lot of them suck. Like, PolitiFact sucks. The Washington Post fact checker is abysmal and gets stuff wrong all the time. So it's like, okay, the idea of just having these, like, source links right there, I'm not against that in theory. Because it's like, yes, you're going to have many instances of somebody who has no business talking about any of this stuff, spreading flat-out falsehoods, misinformation, conspiracy theories. A guy like Alex Jones so often gets things so wrong that, I don't even know if he's on YouTube anymore, but to have, like, a link to, here's what the CDC says about this, okay, fair enough. But then again, the question becomes, well, the CDC, there's also the World Health Organization, and they got stuff dead wrong. Early on, the CDC got stuff dead wrong. There was talk about masks are not going to help or whatever, and they were only saying that because they needed to get more masks for frontline workers, so they just lied to the regular people and said, the masks don't work. But it was a lie. They could have said, like, hey, don't hoard masks now because we need them for frontline workers, but yes, masks work. They could have said that, but they didn't. They lied. So it's like, there's a debate to be had about who really are the most objective sources. Like, I think that's a fair discussion. But in theory, the idea of just putting links to decent sources, I'm not against that. But here's the problem. The problem is, I think they've gone way beyond this. So it's not just, we're going to keep, links to certain sources for controversial topics. That's not all they're doing. And I've noticed this on this channel many times, that there is without a doubt an algorithm issue where if you're not deemed an authoritative source, you get devalued and you get suppressed and you get therefore treated in a way that your stuff does not reach as wide of an audience as it once did. So we've spoken about it on the show before, but when you look at the channel growth that we had in the last election, it was ridiculous. The channel basically doubled in size throughout the 2016 election. And the reason is we do a lot of segments, we do a lot of videos, and if you were searching for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump in 2016 or Bernie Sanders, we were going to pop up in the search results. So there was an algorithm that was more objective in that it wasn't playing favorites. Well, now, and YouTube admits this, Now they say, no, we have a problem with fake news. Therefore, we're going to lift up authoritative sources. And what do they mean by authoritative sources? They mean CNN. They mean MSNBC. They mean Fox News. They mean the nightly news networks, ABC, CBS, so on and so forth. But here's the problem, guys. Those are not actually objective sources. The reason why they're viewed as objective sources is money and power. They have money. They have power. So even though CNN gets stuff wrong all the time, and they're just a propaganda outlet for corporate Democrats, doesn't matter, treat them like they're perfectly objective. MSNBC, same thing. You couldn't have gotten Russiagate more wrong than MSNBC did regularly. Everything they said was Alex Jones level conspiracy. I mean, Rachel Maddow was a joke. And they're prioritized as well. Fox News, Republican propaganda network. But hey, you got to play fair with both sides. This is what they'll argue. The right wing will scream about it nonstop. So you have Fox News, Republican propaganda, authoritative source. MSNBC, CNN, Democratic propaganda, authoritative source. They're propped up. And outlets like mine, now granted, I talk about news and politics, but of course I'm an opinion show. Of course I'm a commentator. But I'm devalued in the algorithm as a result of them trying to prop up authoritative sources that aren't even authoritative. I've gotten way more stuff right than they have on so many controversial topics. On so many. They all actively hid, the DNC rigging the 2016 election. I covered it in detail. I was correct. I was right. What I'm saying is accurate, but we were devalued. Russiagate, I got right, they got wrong, but what I say is devalued, and the algorithm pushes it to the side. So I know because I see the numbers. That the channel just doesn't get recommended to people who are new. Some of you guys probably came across the channel because it got recommended when you were watching a video from somebody else. But I popped up because the algorithm wasn't devaluing my stuff. Well, now it devalues my stuff. And they're doing it under the guise of what I'm talking to you right now, which is, we have to lift up authoritative voices. That's how they're doing it. That's why they're doing it. So they take these authoritative voices that are not at all authoritative, and they get stuff wrong all the time, but because they have money and because they have power and because they have name recognition, they get valued higher. And then you got a channel like mine, and they just devalue it, and honestly, they screw us. They screw us all the time. So, the growth is not nearly... If they didn't have in place this algorithm that devalues channels like mine, I guarantee you we'd already be well over 1 million subscribers. Well, probably 1.5 million or so. So, listen, like I said, I'm not against putting in some source stuff for controversial topics. I think that's perfectly fine. But when you get to the point where now you're creating a hierarchy, and now the algorithm determines who to value and who not to value, based on nothing but the opinions of the people who are in control of YouTube, well then I have to ask the question, who's going to watch the Watchmen? Who's going to watch the Watchmen? The people who are in charge of YouTube, they don't know any more or less than you do. They're not philosopher kings who have it all figured out. So they're hurting a lot of small content creators in the process of propping up legacy media, which gets stuff wrong all the time. Guys, the final point, and I think this is a devastating point, which is why I mention it, but if YouTube was around during the beginning of the Iraq War, this channel would have been screaming that there's no evidence, there's no connection between Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, and therefore there's no connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. This is a BS war. They're selling it to you based on lies. That's what I would have been saying. And I probably would have only been devalued by the algorithm, but they probably would have actively suppressed my stuff and maybe even pulled some of the videos. And all the outlets that were saying Saddam Hussein is connected to Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein is responsible for 9/11, and they fed you that propaganda. All of the outlets that were pushing the propaganda, they would have been considered the authoritative sources. So, my opinion on it is maybe there should be no centralized micromanaging when it comes to this stuff. And maybe you just let whatever's going to happen. I'm not asking for special treatment in the algorithm. I'm asking for equal treatment. I'm asking for the same treatment as anybody else. That's what I'm asking for. So that's my approach. You want to put some sources that are reasonable for videos that may have, extreme takes on a variety of this stuff, sure. But don't start devaluing channels that you don't like when you have no idea that I could be right and CNN could be wrong. But they will always, by default, side with CNN. And that's unacceptable. And that's why this channel gets screwed. That's why every other independent new media channel that you know gets screwed by the algorithm as well. I don't care. I know that many in, the left-wing new media space feud with each other. Put the feud aside for a second. We're all getting screwed in terms of the algorithm. The only way, only if you are so super duper squeaky clean, no controversial opinions at all, do you not get, devalued by the algorithm. So listen, I will say this. Final point, if you like this show, if you like what other new media organizations or, channels are doing on the left, please support everybody directly. I think we all have a Patreon. I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/seculartalk. If you just want to give $1 or $2 a month, I would really, really appreciate that. I don't ask you guys this a lot because I always feel weird and gross asking. I'm not really a natural salesman. I hate selling myself like this, but in all seriousness, if you want new media to thrive, then just consider donating $1 or $2 a month to myself and anybody else who you might like as a commentator on the left, because I do not trust YouTube. I don't. And the other thing I would appreciate is, and I never ask for this, but I will ask for it today. If you watch this show and you're not subscribed, but you like it, please consider subscribing. And then also, if you click that bell, then you will be notified every single time we drop a video. So in other words, there's a direct line to you, and, then we don't have to worry about all the suppression and all the, the messing around with the algorithm and whether or not we get recommended. So subscribe, like the videos, click the bell to make sure that you get the notifications every time a video drops. And if you can, consider supporting with $1 or $2 a month. And by the way, if you can't, see, this is what separates us as the lefty new media types from the righty new media types and from the frickin' televangelists and the fundamentalists. If you can't afford it, totally fine. Understand, I still love you. I still will keep doing what we do here. And I understand that a lot of people are going through some really difficult times right now, and absolutely, positively, 100% keep your money if you're in a situation like that, because that is a hell of a lot more important than supporting the content creators like myself. But all I'm asking is, if you can, just give $1 or $2 a month. But anyway, I digress from that. I don't trust YouTube at all. At any moment, they could pull the rug out from underneath us. They've already done that massively when it comes to the algorithm. And I wish that they would stop playing favorites, and I wish that they would stop picking and choosing winners and losers. Again, I have no problem with, if you want to put some source links, that's totally fine. But just don't devalue channels like this one and like others in this space, because I don't think it's fair, and I really think they're screwing us.